Hello and good afternoon from Jakarta. Welcome to today's FPCI GRIPS Virtual Public Forum on Connecting, Collaborating and Co-Creating the Future of ASEAN-Japan Economic Cooperation. My name is Alexandra and I will be the Master of Ceremony for today's event. The public forum is brought to you by the Foreign Policy Community of Indonesia and the National Graduate Institute for Policy Studies, Japan. This is the second forum of this year's FPCI GRIPS Virtual Public Forum series. We welcome our distinguished speakers for today's discussion. First, we have Dr. Alexander Chandra, the Assistant Director and Head for Analysis and Monitoring on Trade, Industry and Emerging Issues Division at ASEAN Secretariat. We also have Professor Tetsuya Watanabe, President of the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, and Dr. Lily Yan Eng, Lead Advisor of the Southeast Asian Region at the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, as well as Secretary General of the International Economic Association. We also would like to welcome our moderator, Dr. Kei Koga, who is an Associate Professor at the Public Policy and Global Affairs Program, School of Social Sciences, Nanyang Technological University. Today, I am pleased to welcome over 400 participants from across 30 countries, tuning in through Zoom and FPCI's YouTube channel. To name a few, we have participants from Indonesia, Japan, the Philippines, Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Brunei Darussalam, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Timor-Leste. Welcome. We would also like to inform all of our Southeast Asian participants that we are inviting you to participate in our ASEAN People's Perception Survey on Australia, China, the EU, India, Japan, Russia, South Korea, the UK, and the US. The survey itself will only take 10 to 15 minutes to complete. All of your answers will be completely anonymous, and the results will be given to government bodies, policymakers, and other stakeholders in Southeast Asia so that they can make better decisions and policies moving forward. You can start the survey by scanning the QR code displayed on the screen or through the link sent in our Zoom chat box. Your perception matters. Now, back to today's public forum. The discussion will dive deep into the main question of how ASEAN-Japan economic relations will develop and the goals which ASEAN and Japan hope to achieve in the future as we reflect on 50 years of established relations. First and foremost, let us invite Professor Kunihiko Shinoda, Professor and Executive Advisor of GRIPS Alliance. Professor Shinoda, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed panelists, distinguished guests, and participants from around the world, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all of you for attending the second FPCI GRIPS Public Forum titled Connecting, Collaborating, and Co-Creating the Future of ASEAN-Japan Economic Cooperation. On behalf of the National Graduate Institute for Policy Studies, GRIPS, I'm honored to deliver the opening remarks for this forum. It is highly significant that this forum addresses such an important theme for the relationship between ASEAN and Japan. I look forward to active discussions on the future of ASEAN-Japan economic cooperation. Last year, Japan and ASEAN celebrated 50 years of friendship and cooperation. Over the past 5 decades, ASEAN and Japan have deepened their economic ties and enjoyed mutual prosperity and stability. Strengthening this solid relationship going forward is essential for both sides. In this context, the ASEAN-Japan Economic Co-Creation Vision developed last year serves as an important guide for the new era. The concept of co-creation highlighted in this vision represents a more comprehensive and innovative form of cooperation that goes beyond traditional economic cooperation. Co-creation is not just about working together. It aims to leverage the strengths of both ASEAN and Japan to create new value. In today's world, where digitalization is advancing rapidly, the spirit of co-creation is essential for cross-border innovation and sustainable economic growth. The theme of this forum, Connecting, Collaborating, and Co-Creating, is crucial for realizing the ASEAN-Japan economic co-creation vision. As we think about the future of ASEAN-Japan economic cooperation, our discussions should focus on three pillars, namely strengthening connections, deepening collaborations, and achieving co-creation. First, regarding strengthening connections, the economic linkages between ASEAN and Japan are becoming increasingly important due to changes in global supply chains and the development of the digital economy. Especially, strengthening cyber physical connectivity will be a key factor in improving the competitiveness of both regions as industries continue to digitalize. Next is deepening collaboration. Japan is ASEAN's fourth largest trading partner, and the economic relation between the two is strong. The ASEAN-Japan Strategic Economic Cooperation Roadmap from 2016 to 2025 has functioned as the framework for economic cooperation between the two. However, it is now time to review its achievements and challenges and take the next steps. In particular, we must assess the roadmap from the perspective of digitalization and sustainability and set new goals for the future. Finally, achieving co-creation. The ASEAN-Japan economic co-creation vision emphasizes sustainable economic growth and innovation. We expect tangible outcomes from co-creations, such as the creation of new business models based on sustainability and efforts to solve social and environmental challenges. This will allow ASEAN-Japan economic relations to grow even further in the next 50 years. During today's forum, through presentation by experts in various fields, we will deepen our understanding of these themes and discuss specific goals and action plans. In particular, the survey by FPCI and the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia area on ASEAN People's Perception 2023 shows that ASEAN countries regard Japan as their most favorable partner. This reaffirms the strength of our partnership. However, we must not remain complacent in this comfortable relationship, but instead take on new challenges boldly. I hope that today's discussions will be a vital step towards ensuring that ASEAN and Japan continue to thrive together and overcome new challenges in the next 50 years in a constantly changing world. Finally, I'd like to express my hope that this forum, co-hosted by FPCI and GRIPS, will inspire new ideas and concrete action plans for the future of ASEAN-Japan economic cooperation. Thank you very much for your participation and active engagement.
Thank you for your opening remarks, Professor Shinoda. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, allow me to invite our moderator to start the discussion. Dr. Kei Koga, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind introduction, Alexandra. And then I would like to first thank the IPCI and then GRIPS for the organizing this very interesting panel. As introduced, I'm Kei Koga from the Nanyang Technological University, and I'm going to moderate this virtual public forum today. And we have the three excellent panelists for this forum. But then before going into the discussion, I will just put some notes on about this forum. This online forum will follow a roundtable format to encourage the more interaction not only between the speakers but also with the audience. And specifically, I will first ask the 2 rounds of the questions to each speaker. Each speaker will have the 3 minutes to respond. But if other speakers wish to comment on the question, they are welcome to jump in as well. And also after that, I will open the floor for a Q&A session. participants can ask questions via Zoom chat, the box under the bar, or like raise the your hands, and so that like, I can actually point out. And I will select the questions for speakers and then let them respond to. So with that, let's get started. So first round of the questions. First, I'd like to ask questions to the Dr. Chandra and then also the Professor Watanabe. The question is the new ASEAN-Japan economic co-creation vision puts a heavy emphasis on the concept of co-creation, as it was actually introduced by the Professor Shinoda in the opening remarks as well. But like, what exactly does the co-creation mean in the context of the economic cooperation? And how will the vision of the co-creation translate to the actual economic efforts between the ASEAN and Japan? So first, Dr. Chandra.
Thank you. Very good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, okay. Very good afternoon. And before I start, let me just thank the organizer, the FPCI and GRIPS, for extending a very kind invitation to invite the ASEAN Secretariat to take part in this very timely and very interesting discussion. Our greetings also to Professor Shinoda and also Professor Watanabe and Dr. Lily Yan Ing, both of whom are actually very close friends of the ASEAN Secretariat. We have been working together very closely for many years. So I'm very pleased to be able to be in the same panel with both of these panelists. So before answering your question, perhaps let me just take you back a bit. How do we see the ASEAN-Japan economic cooperation as a whole? As you probably aware of, Japan has always been an indispensable partner of ASEAN. It is one of the ASEAN oldest dialogue partners, where ASEAN and Japan have already started engaging each other since the early 70s and has since developed a very friendly relationship based on the heart-to-heart partnership that was constructed by the 1977 Fukuda Doctrine. Of course, as we probably aware of, ASEAN and Japan both have pursued a very diverse type of cooperation, but to the extent possible, I think the trade and investment have been at the forefront of our partnership so far. For a simple reason, I think because of the economic complementarity between both of our economies. The structure of Japan's international trade and investment are very much dependent on the raw materials from the developing economies of ASEAN. And also ASEAN also serves as a major shipping lanes for which Japan relies its economic activities on. So also overall, ASEAN and Japan also recognize each other's potential as a stabilizing actor on the region's economic security. Now, I think Professor Shinoda already mentioned this already. Japan continues to be a very extremely important trade and investment partner for ASEAN. In 2023, it was the fourth largest trade partner. That is if the intra-ASEAN trade was excluded. Otherwise, it would have been the fifth. Two-way merchandise trade amounted to 239.5 billion. And this made up about 6.8% of ASEAN total trade in 2023. At the same time, Japan was also the fifth largest source of foreign direct investment in last year, and amounted to 14.5 billion or 6.3% of ASEAN total. Now, as many of us know, at the moment, the key component of ASEAN-Japan economic cooperation has been the implementation of the ASEAN-Japan Comprehensive Economic Partnership. This is actually the second FTA that ASEAN has after its first FTA with China, and also the implementation of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, the largest free trade agreement in the world. Now, you may be familiar already that the AJCEP, ASEAN-Japan Comprehensive Economic Partnership, it was quite an old agreement already, 1.5 decade. The agreement was signed in 2008 and entered into force in December of the same year. and it was basically designed to enhance our trade and investment relation, and through a progressive tariff liberalization, simplification of customs procedures, as well as promotion of greater economic cooperation. Over the years, we agreed to, both sides agreed to actually improve the AGCEP by agreeing on the first protocol to amend the agreement back in 2019. So the existing agreement actually covers a quite comprehensive component agreement. It's a comprehensive agreement covering trade in goods, trade in services, investment, rules of origin, sanitary and phytosanitary, and so on and so forth. On RCEP, of course, everybody also familiar with this. I already mentioned it is the largest free trade agreement in the world. It entered into force back in January 22. The agreement is equally comprehensive as that of AGCEP, including chapters that is not only covering traditional trade in goods, but also those what we consider more emerging issues, such as intellectual property rights, government procurement, competition, as well as inclusivity, especially in relation to small and medium enterprises. RCEP also provides open accession clause, whereby it allows, I think we can actually open for accession 18 months after entry into force. So by July last year, we can already accept new memberships. So currently there are 3 official requests to exit RCEP, namely from Hong Kong, China, and then Sri Lanka, as well as Chile. The latest development with regard to RCEP, of course, now we have the RCEP support unit that was established within the ASEAN Secretariat, and the unit's executive director had just been selected, and this marked an important milestone in the operationalization of the support unit. Now, coming back to your question about why the emphasis on the co-creation. So I think it's already highlighted by Professor Shinoda earlier on that the ASEAN-Japan Economic Cooperation Vision, it was basically developed as very much a private sector. Right? It was developed by the Japan Chamber of Commerce Industry, the Ministry of Economy, Trade, Industry of Japan, METI, as well as JETRO. This is to commemorate the 50th anniversary of ASEAN-Japan cooperation last year. So the main purpose of the vision is simple. It's basically for ASEAN to be able to attract quality investment from Japan and upgrade its industry. So to realize the vision, again, Professor Shinoda already mentioned this. There are 4 pillars of action that have been identified. This covering giving focus on sustainability, open innovation, cyber physical connectivity, as well as innovative human capital. All of these are actually very strategic very strategic issues, not only for Japan but also for ASEAN.
Okay, now, great. So Dr. Chandra, so sorry, 30 seconds to sum up. We have the 3 minutes for each panelist. So
okay. All right. So again, in the context of ASEAN-Japan economic cooperation, co-creation basically refers to a mutually beneficial partnership. So basically, we are looking at both economies to collaboratively address shared socio-economic challenges through the pooling of the expertise, resources, and innovation. So the co-creation vision is we see it as a mutually beneficial relationship that is based on trust, established through the sharing of know-how in solving very socio-economic challenges and respecting the diversity of ASEAN member states. The co-creation vision is essential, particularly as it allows ASEAN and Japan to jointly address socio-economic challenges, balancing economic growth with social values, especially amidst imminent security-related risks in the field of energy, economy, food security, and so on. And I think what has not been mentioned also, what we discussed also the action plan that accommodates that vision, right?
Sorry, Dr. Chandra. Yeah. So we're gonna get back to you later on. So could you just we just kind of need to move on to the next panelist because each participant has the 3 minutes only. All right. Thank you very much. So Professor Watanabe, could you comment on the questions?
Thank you very much for having me at this wonderful discussion. And I'm very glad with Professor Koga and Alex and my colleague Lily on the discussion. And before going straight into your question about what is the co-creation, I just would like to highlight the background. ASEAN is, one of the bright spots in the world economically. 5% GDP growth, annual GDP growth, and large population and young demography, and investment coming from every part, China and Japan, the US and Australia, EU. Investment are coming to this region. So it's one of the bright spots economically and driver of economic growth if you look at the other part of the world. And also in the geopolitical tension between the superpowers, ASEAN's journey of ASEAN community building has been quite successful, provide prosperity and stability and security, not only for ASEAN, but also for wider region of the Indo-Pacific. So ASEAN's role in economic role and political role is very crucial. On the other hand, countries in this region faces some of the challenges which previous speaker mentioned. Like one of them is most important is a sustainability challenge. How transition economy and society into more sustainable one. And particularly energy transition is a very crucial one because unlike Europe and the United States and other developed world, its economy is growing quite rapidly. So they need to sustain the people and the economy and the society providing energy. So cutting CO2 is not an easy task. So that is the one area what co-creation can work. Especially, I think Japanese companies, energy companies, has a quite long experience of managing in these issues and also good advanced technology. And the challenges here and the technology and know-how maybe to some extent exist in Japan. So if we can collaborate at the company level or government level on an equal basis to address and solve the challenges this region, this growth region faces. That's my interpretation of co-creation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Watanabe. I think the co-creation can mean many different things, and then from the socio-economic perspective, energy security perspective, we could actually understand how important the collaboration between Japan and the ASEAN will be in the today and then in the future as well. So okay, moving on to the next question. The question to the Dr. Ing. So question is this: as the ASEAN-Japan Strategic Economic Cooperation Roadmap 2016 to 2025 is approaching its deadline, and then what is your assessment of the roadmap implementation? Dr. Ling?
Thank you for highlighting a very important point. Before I address your questions, let me share with you two simple observations. if we see throughout the years since ASEAN's established since 1967, Japan's role in ASEAN had been increasing, particularly significant in the 1980s and 1990s. But then, if we see over the last 23 years, Japan's role in ASEAN has been declining. Its role in trade, investments, infrastructure, as well as digital front has been declining. In 2023, taking out ASEAN, Japan was the fourth largest trading partner for ASEAN, contributing only 7% for ASEAN's total export and imports. Japan's is the fourth largest FDI investor in ASEAN in 2023, contributing only 6% of ASEAN's total FDI. This is something that I totally agree with Professor Shinoda. Probably Japan and ASEAN should not be complacent. And the key of the successful of the implementations of the roadmap is nothing more important than the trust. This is something that ASEAN had been very open to Japan. Let me highlight on three things. One, on exports and imports. I think it's time for Japan to be more open to ASEAN's product, be it semiconductor, coal, palm, agricultural, fisheries products. ASEAN's products that are good and Japan's need those products. It's time for Japan to think to relocate Japan's imports from ASEAN. The second one is on investments. I think I totally agree with Professor Watanabe. Its importance for connections. Japan, if we see Japan international organizations, Japan's companies, all other organizations or Japan-funded organizations, they're very close in terms of labor market as well as at the management level. They're very close in recruiting or open to good talents. It's quite different with China, Korea, or Europe or US kind of led firms or organizations. So if Japan can be more open, it's gonna improve people-to-people connections, and it's gonna build more trust among Japan and ASEAN. The third point is on infrastructure. I think Japan has been focusing too much on the physical infrastructure. I think it's time for Japan and ASEAN to put investments not only in road, but also in soft infrastructure as well as digital infrastructure. I think the importance of digital is massive, industrial robots, AI, and digital, not only on e-commerce, but in all sectors across countries and across nations. For further discussions, let's go for the next round. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The comments on the question. I think there are a bunch of the things that like Japan could do to actually strengthen the tie with the ASEAN economically. Okay, so again moving to the another question, which would be addressed to the Professor Watanabe and also Dr. In this time. The question is this: the ASEAN-Japan economic co-creation vision mentions the economic relationship between ASEAN and Japan has changed dramatically over the last 50 years, and it will keep changing over the next 50 years. What do you think the progressive changes that have transformed the ASEAN and Japan economic relations? This was actually slightly touched upon the Dr. In's kind of comments, but then what both Japan and the ASEAN expect in the next 50 years. So to start with the Professor Watanabe.
Thank you. Yeah, again, so I think some of the key areas what Japan and ASEAN can collaborate. One is, as I mentioned, the sustainability and energy transition. That's a key area. And the second is, digital innovation. Of course, I'm based in Jakarta, Indonesia, looking at the outside, Gojek and I mean, this application of digital technology is quite advanced in Jakarta, Singapore, and Vietnam. More advanced, I should say, compared to Japan. So, and many startups are flourishing and emerging and promoting innovation and changing the landscape of society and economy. But the challenge here is how to sustain the innovation. What is we are seeing here is basically application of technology created somewhere else. Application of business model to the challenge here. That has been quite successful, but to sustain innovation, maybe science and technology and new research and development like AI and life science and that kind of, or biotechnology, for example. So that is an area where ASEAN and Japan enhance their collaboration, and I think Japan can create value to collaborate with this very innovative and dynamic growing region. And yeah, I have more to say, but I'll come back later. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. So innovation and then the sustainability are the two kind of key the words, I think. So Dr. Ng?
Good. That's very interesting. If we see from 1970 to recently, you're talking about 50 years back and 50 years forward, right? Let's see from 1970. G7 countries, namely, they used to be the ruling countries in the world in the four main front in economics, right? In terms of gross domestic products or output, trade, manufacturing value added, and investments. But after 2000s, those G7 countries' contributions to the world have been declining. And emerging markets such as China, India, Korea, and interestingly, ASEAN countries, particularly Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam, they share to global shares in output, trade, investments, and manufacturing value added have been increasing. In 2023, ASEAN was the fourth largest economy in the world after the US, China, and Germany. So this is very important for Japan to think, like Professor Watanabe-san mentions, to think seriously the importance of ASEAN, not only for Japan, but its role in the global economy. And it's very important for Japan to take ASEAN seriously as its trading and investments partners and treat ASEAN as an equal partner. With this kind of trust and equal partner treatment, I think there are so many potential sectors that Japan and ASEAN can work together. And I agree in the sense that it's very important to highlight the important sectors such as digital transformations, sustainable developments, as well as agriculture and sectors that are important for ASEAN. Again, one thing that I learned is that so far, Japan provides assistance, support, cooperations based on what Japan is good at, but not necessarily what ASEAN really needs. So this is kind of mindset that I think need to be synchronized. What are good for both Japan and ASEAN, not only one side agenda, but we need to go together as a partner. Because if Japan does not take ASEAN seriously, there are other partners who have been in the good positions with ASEAN. So I'm afraid that Japan might lag behind other partners if Japan using the same strategy in approaching ASEAN. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. I think like this actually relates to the why like we are calling the co-creation. I mean, why co-creation is a very, very important keyword for the both Japan and the ASEAN. Like in Japan and the ASEAN, the global structure, economic structure actually changed. If you compare it in the Cold War era, and then the Japan and then the ASEAN seriously think about the what we mean by the equal partnership in many ways. I think like that's the kind of nice way to actually put the first round first. Okay, so moving to the round two of the questions. Thank you for your patience, Dr. Chandra. So this question is going to you. The question is as part of the larger vision, ASEAN and Japan launched their future design and action plan for the innovative and sustainable ASEAN-Japan economic co-creation 2023 and 2033. What do both parties expect for this action plan to achieve? Dr. Chandra, if you could talk around 3 minutes, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think, as its name suggests, the FDAP, the Future Design and Action Plan for Innovative and Sustainable ASEAN-Japan Economic Co-creation, it's an action plan to help realize the co-creation vision. So it serves as a new guiding document that supposedly sets out the direction of future ASEAN-Japan economic cooperation over the next 10 years up to 2033. The document already, as you probably aware of, endorsed by AEM METI at their 29th consultation in August last year. The document actually demonstrates a significant paradigm shift in ASEAN-Japan economic relation to collectively basically for both parties to agree to collectively build a shared future that is powered by key and emerging issues relevant to both ASEAN and Japan on key issues that are that Lily and also Professor Watanabe already mentioned on digital transformation, supply chains resiliency, innovation, sustainability, and human resource development. So the area of cooperation identified by the FDAP ranging from, for example, those that are covered under the strengthening of cyber physical connectivity would include like the promotion of digital economy, public finance institution cooperation to strengthen connectivity, how to work towards the free and fair trade and investment environments, all the way to the co-creation of dynamic human capital, whereby ASEAN and Japan agrees to work around the issue on how to develop next generation of industrial human capital, as well as how to realize sustainability and so on and so forth. So for each pillar, for each of these pillars, ASEAN and Japan will implement concrete action to achieve the desirable future as a shared objective by 2033. Now, as to what do both sides actually expect from FDAP to achieve, I think we do share a common objective, ASEAN and Japan, that we do hope that FDAP can help foster a stronger economic ties. How? Primarily by driving digital transformation, enhancing our supply chain resilience, and promoting innovation across industries. In addition, I think both ASEAN and Japan also agrees for the FDAP to develop dynamic human capital, advance sustainability, especially in the area of carbon neutrality, energy transition, and how to build a circular economy. All these, of course, key strategic interests of both parties. So overall, the plan basically seeks to co-create a prosperous, innovative, and sustainable future for both ASEAN and Japan. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for your comments on the action plan. I think as we talked the digital supply chain, the innovation, those are the really important area of cooperation for the Japan and then the ASEAN in the future as well. Okay, so the next question is going to the Professor Watanabe and then also Dr. Im. The question is this: based on the survey by the FPCI and the Economic Research Institute for the ASEAN and then the East Asia, that is the area, on the ASEAN people's perception 2023. Japan was concluded as the most favorable partner by the respondents. As Southeast Asia has full confidence and is in the comfort zone in their cooperation with Japan, how do we get out of this the comfort zone? And what is the new agenda that we can actually work on between ASEAN and Japan? It's a kind of like a similar question, but then they are asking is there any kind of like the hard choice we need to make in order to facilitate and further enhance our cooperation between the Japan and the ASEAN. So the Professor Watanabe, could you actually start?
Thank you very much. I don't know if I can touch upon the hard questions, but I think one of the message missing one of the messages coming from our survey, FPCI, jointly with area, is number one is Japan is a trusted partner. But what is there are other key messages from the survey. The survey basically addressed asked the people in Southeast Asia on their view about the dialogue partners like US, China, Japan, and India. That's the basic structure. And for Japan, Japan is a trusted partner. But other messages, key messages, United States continue to be a strong partner in terms of, strategically or political security, providing stability to the region. That's the one message. And message two is economically speaking, China is, as my colleague really mentioned, that China is a strong partner, key partner for their business and economic relationships. And then comes Japan, and Japan is a trusted partner. That is a sort of comfort zone what Japanese people are staying at. So, but the real challenge is that it's to how, but trust is very important. Japan will play, I'm Japanese, but I'm now working at an international organization in Jakarta, so I'm not a representative of Japanese government or Japanese. But I should say one of the characteristics of the Japanese people is that they can they can be an honest broker. And Japan, of course, there are history. Of course, we have to recognize always. But past 50 years, Japan cultivated trust with ASEAN countries through policies and investment and economic relationship, structure development and human resource development. That's the trust. But for the going forward, looking into the next 50 years, how next generation of Japanese and ASEAN people can translate trust into reality and real actions. That is a huge agenda. So in order to do that, both young people, entrepreneurs, startups, both from ASEAN and Japan, visit each other. ASEAN people, now many young ASEAN people visit Japan, but I think they encourage more and more Japanese young people with Jakarta, Indonesia, or even rural areas, and talk to their counterparts and looking into what are the challenges they face in terms of sustainability or rural development, preservation of nature, and the rural community. Where that is where Japanese young people and entrepreneurs can collaborate and contribute. And that would be, of course, a contribution to the region, but also sort of a source of where Japanese economy and people can get again sort of dynamism and energy. That will be a win-win, and that is a real meaning of co-creation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments on the friendship is important, but then we need to actually aim more further, and then that's the important actually message. Dr. Ing, could you comment on this?
Thank you. You know, like this is very interesting, and you can see how the growing ASEAN's role in the global economy, because lately there are so many surveys on ASEAN's perspective on the global players, US, China, Japan, EU, and the world are really concerned what ASEAN really think. And sometimes like the results can be varied. It depends on how the surveyor, the respondents, the funding. So it's quite interesting to see this kind of dynamic. But I can see like in general, ASEAN see Japan still see Japan as a partner, like development partner. So I don't see any negativity across surveys that I have read across countries whoever funding the surveys and whoever the respondents. In general, I can say like ASEAN see Japan in the natural way. Again, I want to highlight two things. They see the roles of Japan has been declining, and they see the roles of Japan's trust. It's kind of how much Japan's really trusts ASEAN. You know, and I totally agree with Professor Watanabe. I think ASEAN and Japan, we can work in so many sectors. The key is on trust and how we can improve people-to-people connectivity. And my suggestions is simple. One is Japan open labor market. Japan needs many workers from ASEANs in health, in architecture, in accounting, bookkeeper, so many workers that ASEANs are good in supply, and Japan needs to sustain Japan's economic growth and Japan development, and that's crucial. The second one on people-to-people connectivity is to provide more exchange program, skill exchange program, students exchange program. If we see in the early 1980s, 1990s, Japan and ASEAN have very active in this skill exchange, students exchange, but now it's very rare. The third is on the internship programs, research programs, and there are so many people-to-people connectivity. And again, on the talents, and this is very important for the development of Japan business, Japan's led or Japan funded organizations. Japan should be more open to ASEAN talents, because nowadays ASEAN is different from ASEAN's 20 years ago, right? So Japan should acknowledge ASEAN's talents and to embrace these talents, having them into ASEAN's, into Japan's inner decisions making process. I think with this kind of movement, Japan can get trust from ASEAN's countries. Like I mentioned in the beginning, ASEAN see Japan's in the natural way, but how Japan see ASEAN's, that really matters a lot for ASEAN's countries. And I don't see that Japan see ASEAN's in the respective way as ASEAN see Japan's.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the comments. I think again the more interaction between the Japan and the ASEAN countries are really important. And then in terms of the those kind of interactions, particularly human exchange is important. The issue is also important as the Dr. Chandra talks about those kind of the particular issues like digital connectivity, innovation, and sustainability. Those are important, but at the same time, like we need to actually cultivate the human capital, both countries, and then understand like the new kind of situation we are facing in the Japan and ASEAN, and then from there, probably like we could actually go ahead and then sustain our understanding, deep in-depth understanding of the each country and the region. Okay, thank you very much for all the comments. Now, like I would like to open the floor, and then if you have, I think I have lots of the questions on the chat box. I have to go through, but in the meantime, if you have any question, and then if you are willing to raise a hand, please do so, so that I can actually point out and then they give a mic to the participants. Anybody wants to actually raise hand? No? All right, so I'll just read through the comments for the question. This question is from the Mohammed Ismail, the Taki Ali. They are talking about let me see the future of the economic cooperation with Japan, China, and Indonesia. Okay, so here. The future of the economic cooperation for Japan, China, and Indonesia reveals a dynamic and a multifaceted approach, highlighting their focus on innovation, sustainability, and global partnership. And Asia must unite to become the most powerful country in the world. In the world. And Asia must be able to always innovate with the principles of the supreme divinity, just as the civilized humanity. Asian unity, democracy led by the wisdom and deliberation of the Asian representatives, and so on. Asia countries must be able to sanction. I think these this question is actually how relating to I guess this is more relating to the political things, but when I ask in order to kind of unite this is something to do different from I think the economic side. But again, in order to facilitate economic cooperation as the kind of United Asia, what kind of the things can we actually do? That's a kind of one question, and I'll go on the next question too, because that question was not like directed to the any other person. Let me check. I think okay, so this one, this question is from the Aaron Lucas from Australia. Through which organization can we start communication with the regard to the establishing a joint venture on any project in Japan? So are we going to use the international organization, like ASEAN, and is there any kind of specific ASEAN related organization to facilitate the joint venture on any project? I think Professor Watanabe and Professor Dr. Chandra and Dr. In all talks about the sustainability, innovation, energy, and then also digital infrastructure too. If you have any kind of the particular field you think is important, and then any kind of like international organization or civil organization that facilitates joint venture. Can you name the some of them, or like is there any kind of comments like you can actually make? Professor Watanabe?
Yes, thank you very much. If you allow me a bit of PR exercise of area as an international organization. We are a research institute, but recently Japan and some other countries in East Asia and Australia launched jointly a new initiative called the Asia Zero Emission Community. That is a project initiative tried to jointly collaborate toward achieving a net zero goal for the region. And the area as an international organization is tasked by the leaders of the member countries to host the so-called Asia Zero Emission Center. This is a policy platform for that initiative, providing roadmaps for the countries and for the region, and looking into the sectoral initiatives, also market environment like carbon trading and financial schemes. And we are aiming, the new center will try to be a multi-stakeholder policy platform, not just for the government, but also investors and the private sectors from the region. So, of course, so we can serve as a platform for the matching. Of course, specific concrete project need to be done separately, but we can have some sort of initial matching or initial facilitation of the specific project, for example, for the energy transition. And we are engaging with a partnership with some of the financial institutions, ADBI and JBIC and other financial institutions. So yeah, we are happy to support in this regard.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ng or Dr. Chandra, any comments? If you have.
Yes, if I may just address that particular question on which organization to approach to communicate about the joint venture setup, is it correct?
Yeah.
In Japan? I mean, right. I cannot speak on behalf of Japan, but
yeah, I mean, like you can talk about from the ASEAN perspective.
As far as we understand, I mean, both Australia and Japan are part of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, right? So actually, if anybody from Australia would like to set up a joint venture arrangement, of course, this would be the platform in which the Australian businesses would help set up a joint venture arrangement with the Japanese counterpart. So naturally, from the Australian side, I would have thought that the natural contact point would be the DFAT, right? So Department of Foreign Trade, right? So I think hopefully that answered the question. Thank you.
I want to add a bit, like ASEAN has ASEAN's Business Council. Each ASEAN country also has Chamber of Commerce, and they're very active. So you may proceed, or anyone who are interested in doing business in ASEAN's, you're very much welcome to connect with ASEAN Chambers of Commerce, ASEAN Business Council. We also have with trading partners, ASEAN-Japan, ASEAN-US, ASEAN-Australia, and with other main trading partners. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So the next question is actually from the Thomas Aquinas from the Philippines. This is to all the speakers. With the ASEAN is now developing its post-2025 vision. And how do you see the ASEAN-Japan relations in the future, which we actually talk about, like the co-creation, but then the specifically like the post-2025 vision from the ASEAN side. Then the what is the relationship between the ASEAN and Japan look like in the future? Perhaps the Dr. Ng or Dr. Chandra first. Okay, Dr.
Chandra. Thank you for the question from Thomas. Is it? Yeah. So I think indeed, as you rightly pointed out, ASEAN is indeed working to develop our post 2025 vision. In fact, this year has been a very important transitional year for us as we finalize our existing blueprint, and at the same time we have to prepare our post 2025 goals and priorities in the form of what is now known to be the ASEAN Community Vision 2045. So we, instead of 10 years goals, now we're going to have a post 2025 goals that is 20 years long. So this document, the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, supposedly help us to guide the ASEAN community building over the next 2 decades. As far as the ASEAN economic community is concerned, ASEAN's focus will be on the deepening of economic integration, naturally. And we're going to do this by identifying new sources of competitiveness, especially in strategic areas such as industrial cooperation, looking into like emerging issues like blue and green economies, as well as how we can embrace new and emerging megatrends, such as those that have been highlighted by Lily and also Professor Watanabe, like digitalization and sustainability, among others. ASEAN, as far as our economic partnership and also global engagement is concerned, ASEAN is very committed and also looking to expand our global presence. So we are looking into the possibility for the post-2025 environment for our focus to be centered on our effort to enhance the quality of our partnership as well as collaboration, especially those with our dialogue partners, dialogue and external partners, as including Japan, of course. We will also, of course, I think this also highlighted at the beginning, I think during the briefing, I think one of the FPCI secretaries were actually talking about this, how ASEAN needs to actually explore the cooperation with new partners. This is also going to be part of our priorities in Global ASEAN. That is to explore cooperation with emerging economies and regional groupings that share mutual interests with us. Of course, this is to leverage complementarity strengths to bolster our economic resilience, as well as to solidify our position in the global value chain. As far as Japan is concerned, I think the co-creation vision, as well as its accompanying FDAP, they share similar spirit with the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, as we envision for our region to be a prosperous and single market economy with highly skilled and inclusive workforce, productivity and innovation-driven growth, and incorporating sustainability across and along the value chain by 2045. So in this regard, I think we have a lot of and ample rooms for ASEAN-Japan to collaborate, to identify a specific entry point with which the goals of both visions can be attained simultaneously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ng, do you have any comments?
Thank you for having this kind of interesting questions. Let me just highlight on deepening integrations. I think it's very important for ASEANs to work on 3 issues. On trade in goods, ASEANs need to work on managing non-tariff measures, reducing non-tariff barriers, because just between 2021-2023, at the global level, there were about 2,800 measures introduced. So it's very important for ASEANs to improve its trade in goods by managing non-tariff measures to ensure non-tariff measures serving for health, safety, and environmental protections, but not create any barriers to trade. To improve trade in services, I would like to highlight the importance of having labor of movement, not only within ASEANs, but also with ASEAN trading partners. On investments, I think it's very important for ASEANs to create conducive environment to attract good quality investments. And the second point on digital transformations. I think the other speakers have already highlighted on sustainability, so I want to highlight on digital informations. ASEAN has a population of 697 million populations. 80% of ASEAN's populations are active internet users, and 70% of 80% are at least once have been doing or active as a seller or buyer or in any kind of economic activities by an active internet users. Last year, ASEAN recorded $259 billion of e-commerce, and ASEAN is estimated to have $1 trillion by 2023. So this kind of huge potential in ASEAN. Unfortunately, currently, we are still only focusing digital transformations in the area of digital trade. So it's very important for ASEAN to vision ASEAN's digital community by optimizing the use of industrial robots, AI, digital transformations for productive purposes across sectors, including health, public health, educations, agricultural, mining, any sectors. I think it's very important for ASEAN to work on this, including with ASEAN main trading partners and investments. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Watanabe, do you have any comments or?
Yes,
Yeah, please.
I think, talking about the community building, it's EU, European Union, of course, is a different model. EU and ASEAN is quite different, and yeah, that's obvious. But since, as Lily mentioned, that economically and politically, presence and importance of ASEAN are becoming huge. So if ASEAN can provide its own model, for example, for data governance and for how to manage emerging technology like AI, and or for example, for carbon market, regional carbon market. That can, if ASEAN and this region can come up with such a model of regional cooperation and voice up their own perspective for this region and also for the other part of the region, other part of the globe, that would be very good for the region and beneficial, also beneficial for other part of the world. And Alex mentioned that global ASEAN. And there are many other emerging regions like Middle East, GCC, and South America, and maybe after that, Africa is coming. So ASEAN can engage with that part of the region. That's one. And also, I should mention that for Indonesia, the national target is to become a high-income country in 2045. And Indonesia and Thailand are making a bid to join the OECD. So that's a part of global ASEAN. And if ASEAN have strong voice in other parts of the world, including OECD, if they join, they will change global governance too, not just accept a standard from other parts of the developed world. That's, I think, I mean, in 20 years' time, maybe it's become a reality and change the landscape of global governance. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so I have one person raising a hand, Putra. So could you actually ask the question to if you could actually give your name and affiliation, and then also ask whom you want to actually ask the question. That would be great. So over to you.
Thank you so much. So this question is directly to Dr. Yan Ing. So apologize if I mistaken the name. So we talked previously regarding, I'm sorry, my name is Helvin, researcher from Lab Indonesia 2045. I'm curious regarding talking about foreign direct investment, right, or FDI. As it is talking about trade investment, we need to put perspective of how labor are existing in between those things. And I think the trends, as Alex Perseus here mentions, to talk about sustainabilities will be related to green jobs in here, or how can the human resource fulfill or becomes the fuel of these investment projects, improvement and everything. So I would like to ask a question related to how can does this initiative of increasing FDI, increasing sustainability, also put perspective on improving each humans, especially when we're talking about Japan and ASEAN region, when there is, I would say, quite a significant gap in terms of the human resource, or like the general statistically speaking, right? That would be my question. Thank you.
Thank you. So Dr. Ing.
You, Halfin, that's a very good point that you raised on human capital. I totally agree with you. I think economic growth with human capital, they're going simultaneously. Once the economy grow, it depends on how government or institutions give it back to invest in their human capital. And that's the key to achieve for long-term sustainable development growth. I think if we see over the last, since the development era, since the early 1940s, those countries who have sustainable development growth are those countries who invest a lot or put serious efforts in developing their human capital, educations, public health, water sanitary, as well as provide effective infrastructure in R&D. So by having this good quality in a capital, human capital, they can attract good investment. So it's kind of working simultaneously. I'm taking simple examples, countries like Sweden, like Singapore, South Korea, and lately China. The reasons why Tim Cook, CEO of Apple, invests in China is not because of the low labor cost of China. China unit labor costs have been increasing since 2000s and has been higher than those of ASEAN since 2005. So the issue of low labor costs is no longer the good selling point for China, but the good quality of technicians, of skills that are the key point why Apple invests in China, not in the US. So this is something that I think like ASEANs can learn. In Asia, we can take a look, Japan, South Korea, China, Singapore, how they invest a lot to develop the human capital. And again, I want to highlight the importance why I provide a strong, important point on labor movement, because countries like Japan, South Korea, now they're facing aging populations and they need good labor, good worker. And ASEANs have that kind of quality because once they're lacking of their workers, their economy will be in downturn. So they need good working age people, labor force, to support the growth of economy, right? So that's why I think it's very important for Asia to put integrations in labor movement. And each ASEAN, not only ASEAN, each of us need to put a lot of efforts in improving our human capital. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for questions and comment. Let's continue. I have the question from the Andrew from the Malaysia, and then this is going to direct it to the all the panelists. It says Dr. Ng mentioned about AI earlier, but the question is for all the speakers. From what we see now, the global North countries, including Japan, are one of the leading ones in the development of the AI. While the global South, including the Southeast Asia region, is still behind, what role do you think Japan can play in the development of the AI with the ASEAN? So I think any of you probably may I start from the Professor Watanabe, or like if you the Dr. In or Dr. Chandra wants to have any comments on that, you can actually jump in and start. Who wants to go first?
Yes.
Okay, Professor Watanabe, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a very good point on AI. And For example, for example, in Japan, university like Tokyo University and Kyoto and other private university has a good engineering school, and they are very much focused on the development of AI, and not just the development, but but also for the application of AI in collaboration with young entrepreneurs and startups. So, but in ASEAN and Southeast Asia, many issues to be solved by AI. So if universities and startups and also governments can collaborate between the ASEAN and Japan, solving specific issues like sustainability and data governance using AI, that would be very beneficial. And I think collaboration and cooperation should be mutual. So not just one way. ASEAN can learn from Japanese technology, but Japanese institute can learn from ASEAN how they can apply and solve the issues here in this region. So it's a mutual and win-win for both.
Thank you. Any other, Dr. Ng, Dr. Chandra, if you have comments? If not, okay, yeah, Dr. Chandra.
Very briefly, actually, just to inform the audience that ASEAN is also actively engaging on the issues of artificial intelligence, of course, and this is under the guidance of our ASEAN Digital Minister meeting. So recently, they established the working group on AI governance, the working group on anti-online scam, as well as working group on submarine cables. This is basically to address pertinent issues related to the governance of artificial intelligence, as well as to promote safe and responsible use of AI, as well as to enhance the collaboration to combat online scams in ASEAN region. In early February this year, I think ASEAN member states also released the much anticipated model for artificial intelligence, or the ASEAN Guide to AI Governance and Ethics. The model, of course, takes a non-binding approach to AI development, putting forward a set of guidelines for governments and also businesses to follow as they develop and use AI systems in the region. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for raising. I think that's very, very, very important issues that we all need to focus and pay attention on. I don't mean to promote my book, even though I always do. I see like many of participants are students. I just published a book on robots and AI, working together with Jean Grossmans, and we have a stellar economist contributing to the book. It's a free access book. I'm coming from Indonesia. I know how expensive and how difficult to get a book, so we make it publicly open. The key message of the book is that it is important for us to innovate. It is important for us to support innovations. But at the same time, you also need to pay attention on the impact on employment, wages, equality, and on the overall human welfare. So this is something that we need to work together on how to regulate the innovations of industrial robots, digital transformations, and AI. That's one key point. So far, if we see over the last 5 years, Asia, China, Japan, Korea have been leading in terms of industrial robot adoptions, adopting about 570,000 industrial robots in 1 year in 2021. And South Korea even aims to have industrial robots and human with the compositions 1.10 by 2030. So that's how fast the growth of industrial robots, digital transformations, and AI in the regions. What I always advocate every time I'm invited to deliver a speech for ASEANs is that ASEANs need to think what would be best for ASEANs. I kind of take from Professor Watanabe on seeing EU. So EU can be one of the reference. We can see EU Services Act, EU Market Act. We can also see US, we can also see China regulations and other regulations that are available right now. But always keep in mind that we use only as a reference, not take them as what it is now, because it is only ASEAN that can decide what will be best for ASEAN. And I just want to highlight that it is very important to support the innovations, but at the same time, we also need to work together to ensure that the innovations will be created such that to improve human welfare, not the other way around. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have still like lots of the questions, but then because of the time constraints, like I'm afraid like we can't actually go through all of them. I actually wanted to, but personally, I wanted to ask some more questions too, but then I'll just keep it in my mind. Okay, so finally, I think I'm just going to ask each panelist to give the final remarks, probably like the 1 or 2 minutes, and then that be the end of the session. But like, may I kind of invite probably first Dr. Chandra, and then Dr. In, and then Professor Watanabe for the final remarks. Dr. Chandra, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I think Professor Watanabe should be the first, but okay, I will take it up. But I think essentially it has been a very interesting discussion this afternoon, and thank you for all the interesting questions. Apologize at the beginning, I took up a bit more time than I was supposed to. But I think the key message that we would like from the ASEAN Secretariat, we would like to emphasize here is that Japan was, is, and will continue to be an important partner of ASEAN. But moving forward, I think, as I already mentioned, especially as we move towards the post-2025 environment, I think we need to, again, this is of our interest, and hopefully that is something that Japan can also respect and also support as well. That is that we are looking for a quality partnership. I think a lot of points that both Lily and also Professor Watanabe already pointed out. I think, I'm not in position to be able to speak as freely as them. But I think many of the points that they have raised, I think also very, very valid, and I think needs to be taken into account, not only by Japan, but of course on our side as well. But again, I think I will just end there. And again, thank you again for the opportunity to share our thoughts and inputs this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. In?
Thank you. I see like many young participants joining us today. So allow me to speak on behalf of the old generations. Let me highlight one thing. You are the future of ASEAN. You are the future of Japan, Australia, and whichever countries that you represent right now. My key message is that tensions will not gonna lead us to anywhere any better. It is very important for us to cooperate. It is very important for us to create such good environments for us to grow. And it is very important for all of you to take your work, be you are studying, doing research, working, because you are the futures of the generations. You are the future of ASEAN. You are the futures of countries. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Watanabe?
Thank you very much. Coming back to our original issue of trust between ASEAN and Japan, and I think trust is one by one. If we are successful in one good project, one good collaboration, one good cooperation between ASEAN and Japan, then we can move next one. That's a trust building and confidence building. So as Lily mentioned that for the next generation of Japanese and young people in Southeast Asia, I very much hope they would cultivate trust, make friends, and collaborate on specific project and build a trust. Then we can, yeah, that's a basic. And if that kind of collaboration and trust building can be made, our future for ASEAN and Japan is more productive. And Alex mentioned a very good word, quality partnership. So quality partnership for the next generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all the excellent comments and then the discussions. Please join me to thank the all the panelists. I know like it's online, so we can't actually hear the clap or anything. But then thank you so much. So with that, I'll actually give back get back to the Alexandra for the mic to MC. Alexandra, Alex.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kai Koga, for moderating today's discussion, and thank you to all the speakers for sharing your incredible insights. Before we wrap up the event, I would like to invite the speakers and everybody else for a short photo session. We'll be taking the picture 2 times, so if everybody could get ready in 3, 2, 1. And we'll do one more in 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. It's been such a fruitful discussion today, and I'm sure the audience found the session interesting and highly informative. Today's event is available for rewatch on FPCI's official YouTube channel at Secretariat FPCI. You may fill in the form sent out by our committee in the Zoom chat box as well in order to get your certificate of participation for today's discussion. And for the last time today, I'd also like to again remind you all of our Southeast Asian participants that we're inviting you to participate in our ASEAN People's Perceptions on Australia, China, the EU, India, Japan, Russia, South Korea, the UK, and the US. The survey will only take 10 to 15 minutes of your time. Your answer will remain completely anonymous, and the results will be given to government bodies, policymakers, and other stakeholders in Southeast Asia so that they can make better decisions and policies moving forward. You can start the survey by scanning the QR code displayed on the screen or by accessing the questionnaire through the link sent in the Zoom chat box. To ensure that your submission is completely considered, make sure you complete the entire form. So thank you everybody so much for tuning in. You can follow our social media handles for more information about our activities, events, and programs. Also, stay tuned to our next FPCI GRIPS virtual public forum via Instagram or Twitter at FPC Indo. See you at the next FPCI event and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.